right, I think we're live now.
Oh boy.
I don't even know what this is yet, but this is Hobby Chat on my channel here, Vern Cards. And I got my brother, my great friend, who basically every time I say I'm going to do something, he's just like, yeah, sure, I'll come on and do it. So this is Shea. How you doing? Thank you.
I'm doing okay. How are you, Dave?
Look, let's just not talk about the first couple of hours of today, and we'll keep rolling through.
Yeah. They were like my middle hours. Yeah.
This
But
is the worst thing about big finals in European soccer. They're always at 4:30 in the morning in Australia, so it means you've got to deal with the full day ahead after the game. So it's rough, but beer at 6 a.m. also helps. So that's where we're at.
that's like the Oregon
This
life
is
back in the
this is
day,
coming
right?
in hot in our first hobby chat.
Yeah.
Just both of us lit from Champions League watching or whatever we've been doing today.
I actually did not drink during the Champions League. I went to the gym. So different high.
Well, that's
Different low. I'm not a Liverpool fan, so I can't say a different low. It was
yeah,
just so weird, like there was a delay and like I was working, so it was just, whatever.
yeah.
I felt for you fans who were like super locked in, and especially the fans who woke up for it, who could have had a few more hours or a few more minutes at least. In
Yeah,
this,
well, I probably would have slept in another 3 hours probably if I wasn't setting an alarm like that. So it's no, it's all good. At least it's a Sunday and I'm not working because I'm not going back to work until tomorrow because of COVID. So
oh yeah, right.
um,
You guys don't have Memorial Day. Well, you guys probably have a Memorial Day. It's just not tomorrow.
yeah, I guess our version of because we both have Armistice Day, so I guess our Memorial Day is kind of
Like
ends
it's
that day.
Saturday here. Jesus.
What's that?
It's Saturday here, so Memorial Day is Monday. I'm struggling. I'm struggling.
Yeah,
I'm
I'm almost midway through my Sunday. It's like quarter to 12 in the afternoon. In the quarter to 12 in the afternoon. What if I?
we're both yeah, we both I basically have had COVID brain since I had
Yeah.
it in February, and David has COVID. So
Seriously, I've been like irritable and like just everything. I'm just so annoyed at the fact that my brain doesn't work properly. Like, because I know just I walk through halfway through the house and forget what I was going to do, and
I've always
like
been like that though.
yeah,
I just I don't
I
know.
have that, but it's more consistent. Like with COVID brain, like you have it occasionally because you're not always at the same level. But like COVID brain is like all the time, every moment of every day is like sometimes I'm just forgetting little things and
I just feel like it's lockdown brain, man. Like I've been in my apartment so much the last 2.5 years that like I'll forget what I'm doing immediately, and it's like my brain is so used to like I don't even know. This is so far from why we are chatting.
well, you get a bit of our personality and who we are.
Yeah.
I
My
mean, like it's
personality,
bringing it somewhat
depression.
back to cards. So it was like I had to send off a card I sold, um, like once I got out of isolation lockdown in Australia. We have to isolate for 7 days in a house, and I'm allowed to leave
I
if we
would have
get
died.
COVID. So,
I literally would have died. Well, I probably could have survived on decimates, but
yeah,
I just went
but
out
like just
double mass at late at night. Yeah.
just posting a card and writing an address on a card just on an envelope was it's just the whole like I'm like wandering around the house like where is this, where's the tape, where are the scissors, where's the cardboard I used to like protect the card, is it the right, I opened up the card after I taped it up inside the protective cardboard because I already forgot I wanted to make sure I'd put the right card in the fucking like I just,
Oh
it
man,
took
I
like
had that
45
too
minutes
when
to
I
just
sold
package up one
tickets.
card.
Oh, I just take mine to UPS because I'm lazy, and I just want to make sure that they get there like perfectly. It cuts into my profit, but it is what it is.
Yeah, well, like my ones that I send like parcel post, I print off labels direct because I got a label printer and stuff. But
Yeah, I
the
don't.
ones that like the
Yeah,
lower end cards,
printer.
I don't want to charge them as much for shipping because it's like
I,
the lower end cards. So I do the like, but I still like to do. I always do tracked because I like to make sure that
oh, of course, yeah.
yeah, it's just I feel like there's this. I've received cards like that I've paid $5 of shipping for, and they've been dinged on corners. I'm like, what the fuck did I pay for? So I like to make sure when people are paying
Right,
for
right,
shipping,
right.
it's like you're actually, it's like an OCD thing. Like, I'm like, I want the card to be sent the way I'd like it received. So
That's why I go to UPS, to be honest with you, because I'm like, I can't handle this mentally. I'm just like you.
maybe I would, but then the post office here is such a shit show to get into at any one time of day, and
Right.
usually is when like I'm working. So our
That has
hours
some
here just
postal
don't work.
workers, though. They're trying their best.
Yeah. Oh no, it's not. It's not so much that. It's just that the where they've put it now. Like they did a big redevelopment of where the post office is here recently. Like 4 years ago now. It used to be really easy to get a park, wander in there, whatever. But now it's just like it's kind of part of the main shopping mall car parking, so it's always busy. You can barely get a park. If you're going to get a park at you either go early and pick up your stuff before they actually open up the shop part of it, or you just don't get in. And I just don't like it, especially with COVID times. It's just like
Yeah,
so
that's
being at like getting used to having stuff here in the house, being able to like package it all up and send it without actually having to go into the post office because I've already got the stuff here is like being it's a good way of me being able to get used to the process and actually
right.
feel comfortable with it. But
Yeah, and I mean, it cut into my profit, but it was just like I wanted to make sure the people that were buying my cars for a lot of money, like, were getting, I wanted to make sure that they got exactly what they were paying.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, and I put the pricing like I put the pricing of what I'm charging for postage pretty
Yeah, I probably should have done
transparently on my listings. I always put it there. I don't put free shipping and build it into what my base price is. I just go, this is what you're paying for shipping, and then this is the price of the card. And I like some people don't like it. I get messages occasionally, why is shipping that much? I'm like, well, track label is $9.30. A signature on delivery. I got this message last night for the slabs that I've just put up listed, and one guy was like, "I'm interested, but why is shipping so much?" I'm like, "Well, $9.30 for a track label plus $2.95 for signature on delivery, and the so and that's what the pricing works out to." I'm like, "That's what you're paying for. I'm not going to like lie about it. It's transparent there. If you don't
Hey,
want to
there
buy it,
are people though, in this. Again, I'm telling you, we live in a different world now. People are, people. You can't trust people anymore, and so like you being able to say, "Hey, here's bang, bang, bang." Why?
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean that's what's up. But I don't think a lot of people can do that, especially
Yeah."
when they
And
charge so
I
much
have no
for
qualms with
shipping.
the guy
Like,
sending the message either, but
right.
like he kind of did it with the exclamation mark and question mark thing afterwards, so he's kind of acting incredulous, which I was like, like let's
That's very
I appreciate I always appreciate the messages, but I'm just like just don't act like it's completely outrageous. Like there is if you want to pay less, like I can negotiate with you, but you won't get I'll throw it in a padded envelope without like locking it up in there. If you want to pay $5, I'll do that. Then the slab might come dinged or cracked because it's been bounced around. Like
right.
I wrap them tightly in like a bunch of bubble wrap, pop them in a parcel, and then track it and signature delivery it so it makes sure it's tight in the package, and then you get it. And that's what. But if you want to pay less, then that's what you get, and that's why that's yeah,
Yeah, and I think that's what we should expect as collectors, and that's why I just went to UPS because I know I can't handle literally doing bubble wrap by myself because I'm basically an invalid. But and yeah, there's no disrespect to anybody or anything like that. I'm just not very good at many things, including shipping stuff of that
yeah.
nature. So.
It certainly
But
was given
I
me
just go
trial
to
and
the
error.
professionals, and I'm like, it charges me like maybe $7 more than I say shipping is, and it's just like that's $7. Like I don't sell the cards I sell or have sold. I have all gone for three figures. So not that
Mm.
that's a big deal or anything, but like $7 in the grand scheme of things isn't that big of a deal.
Yeah, yeah. That's what I think. Like it's a like the card I've got it listed as a starting price of like $60, and the guy's interested. So I'm like, well, what does this set? What? Because he was like, oh, $6.50 would be get you a padded bag, and I'm like, well, what does $6 more mean on a $60 card? Then that it's going to be like signature delivery. If you don't want the signature, then I'll drop that $3 off. There you go, have that or whatever. But it's just like, yeah, it's a weird thing, especially when you're paying that much for cards. It's like I've paid a bunch of shipping for cards, and I'm like, and when they turn up,
I
I'm
know
like,
you
but
have.
like it's like I'm just like whatever. If the card, as long as the card doesn't turn up dinged, then I'm happy. Like, and then when they
It's the
turn up dinged,
investment too. It's like you're protecting your investment. It's like I
yeah,
was watching Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid the other night. It's like on these trains, you gotta have the guys defending them, or they're gonna they're gonna steal your. You're gonna end up with a worse product, aka lose your money.
yeah. Um, yeah. So I don't even know how we got into that. Oh, that was because I struggled packaging a card the other day with my COVID brain. So there you go. But
COVID,
yeah,
you don't want COVID if you haven't had it. Say that. Get
yeah, I
vaccinated.
don't recommend it. It's like 10 days since I first got symptoms, and I still feel like absolute ass. So A lot better than it did probably 5 days ago because the worst of it was those first few days, but it still just lingers. Fucking lingerers, man.
Universe, man. We are the Pineapple Express of um, card collecting.
Oh god, I can't even imagine taking down a rip right now with like just like my throat
I'm
and cough right now. Like,
I'm James Franco in this situation. Because I feel like James Franco doesn't collect anything, whereas Seth Rogen has like an extensive collection, and I just like kind of comment on it, which I think it makes sense to me right now.
yeah. Well, I feel like
Saturday,
you
it's
would
a
like
long
to
week.
collect more, but I guess before I've got a topic that I've half brought up to you off air that we'll get to, but
I'm
um,
ready to go. I'm
how
ready to
like
check out anything.
I know we talk about this a lot, like through text, because you and me are always texting about cards and shit all the time. Like, or just be randomly watching some breaks and being like, "Oh, that's a cool hit" or whatever. But you're someone that's been
Shout out Leighton.
in,
They're good.
yeah, yeah. We do enjoy watching Leighton streams. Um, you you're someone who's been like I've been back into it for the last couple of years, but you've been like a long time into it. Like you were watching breaks before I knew what breaks were.
Yeah,
Yeah. So
I was watching
how
breaks.
have you
We
seen
were
like
friends in Eugene. Go ahead with the
yeah.
question. I'm being a terrible journalist myself by like interrupting your question. I suck, ladies and gentlemen. Go ahead.
What how what is this like? So being someone that's been in it for so long, because for me, like, getting into it, COVID, like I was into it as a kid, but then like it was out of it for 10 years and then I've gone back into it because you get that itch once you become an adult and stop spending money chasing tail and whatever. Um what is your what has it been like for you watching the blow up the last couple of years and seeing the price jump in both? Not just I mean, obviously we've got all the price jumps in slabbed PSA 10 Jordan rookies and whatever, all that stuff. But then I think for you, the thing that I notice more than anything is that what you kind of lament is the price jump in the product just for you and me to be able to go rip, because that's been probably the big thing that I think for you, because we all probably even back then were like, well, a Jordan rookie and a PSA 10 is probably out of our reach for a long time, if ever.
I mean,
But
back then it would have been in
we just
reach.
enjoy.
I think like the money I put in since it blew up, like that money I could have found a Jordan 10. Well, maybe not 10, but whatever. I could have bought some 86 Fleer, right? That's what it is, I think.
Yeah, 86 Fleer, yeah.
Um, yeah, it's been um disorienting almost. Honestly, to be honest with you, like I remember buying into breaks for like $20 in 2014 and watching. I hate to keep bringing up Leighton, but those have been my guys since 2014, and like watching them blow up has been wild. I remember watching their stream with around 50 people, and now they regularly have over 400. I know that doesn't sound that crazy, but like when you watch what they actually do, like it is crazy, and they sell out like that. It used to be like
Mhm.
they were waiting and waiting to fill these breaks. um so it's been I kind of feel like a hipster about it. Like I was into it before and I wish I would have invested more before it really got it. And I think it's coming back down to earth a little bit, but
Mhm.
uh, yeah, it's just been kind of wild to watch it. It's almost like a stock market in a sense.
Yeah. That's actually, you bringing up stock market is interesting, because when people, not that I talk about it with people too much, because like cards is like still, like when you talk about it with friends that don't understand, it's just like, what are you doing? Or even my wife, who, although is obviously very supportive,
At
like, so,
least you're married, and I'm into the hobby as a single man. I gotta just like that's like 12th date material.
even now sometimes she'll see like a card, she's like, what are you doing? Like, um, that was the comment she said the other day,
She
NFTs
has
that
my
you
back. It's
yeah.
cool. Shay gets it.
Um,
We have homies who I guarantee are just like, what? All right, that's a little too far.
Yeah. But my thing with it is like it is kind of a stock market thing. Like I'm just not like stock market stuff is just stuff I'll never get into, because maybe I should, but I just
I think
don't.
you will when you move back over here. You strike me as that kind of And maybe you can lead me
Just
into
slap me
it.
and say go buy. Like if I'm like, oh, I'm gonna go spend like 20 grand on like some stocks, just slap me and say there's like these cards, there's
I'm
PSA
gonna say
10
buy
Jordans.
me an apartment above yours where I can just live and grow old and nanny your kids.
You can nanny my card collection. Um,
I'll sleeve it free of charge.
um, but yeah, it's kind of probably not that it is stock like stocks and stuff is very like all these markets, but to bring it like to make it simple for me, that's how I explain to people is like I kind of treat it as like, but it's something that I've always gone into it since I got back into it is like don't have the fear, don't like avoid FOMO and collect
So hard.
first, and that's how I've kind of avoided. Like, there's been the occasional times I've texted you about breaks where I'm like, "Fuck, I missed like it." Like, I was so keen on like the checklist of blazers or whatever in a break, and then I got
Right.
absolutely
Yeah.
boned and got nothing. And like, it's just like so the stock market thing, but then it's also just treat it like for what it is, which is you're collecting first, and you win sometimes and you lose sometimes. I'll bring this. I've got this card ready to talk about that conversation later, but I'll just put this one up here.
Mm,
Like this
beautiful.
Winfield 1 of 1 was just a random break I bought into. Like I was like, I've never seen this product. Like I was when I was getting used to watching breaks and working out what kind of product I liked. I just bought into this break for that like National Treasures baseball and like bought the Yankees because they were surprisingly cheap and ended
That's
up with
your
my first
guys
one.
too as well.
Yeah, and just my first 1 of 1 out of it. So that was a break I was expecting nothing and got like a great card out of. Um, and
Yeah.
they'll bring that back up later in a later chat about something that I'm going to talk about you with. But like that's the whole thing. Like trying to explain to people is like it's a weird hobby. It's like it is kind of like stock market stuff, but it is also you're just collecting things for the enjoyment of it, and it's also been kind of therapeutic for the last 2 years of chaos to just you know switch off and watch breaks and look at cards and stuff. I've actually found that that's been something in a more serious way as it's helped me get through some stuff too. Like just
Oh, absolutely.
yeah, focusing on something like even if it's just looking over a checklist for like half an hour because I'm like, okay, what cards do I want? Like, do I want to buy into these break? Like, it just like, and there'll be something chaotic going on at work or like the world is a shit place often at the moment. So we won't get into that too much. But like, just like sometimes we're like, all right, I got to switch off from this. Like, I'm gonna have a look at a checklist or oh, they're late in the break in like a case of tribute right now. I'll watch that and stuff like that. It's been
Right. That's
crazily
relaxing.
therapeutic. Which I
It's like
can't imagine the stock market being as therapeutic.
right, right. And like if you're not rich, you just really have to be into sports to
Mhm.
understand the ebbs and flows. And I just think it's just like a different branch of sports fandom. And that's how I got into it in the first place, like in 2013, 2014. My then girlfriend was looking at me like, "Oh, Jesus, but that it was what it was, and I was I feel like slightly ahead of the game, but I wasn't completely ahead of it because you know it didn't really take off until the pandemic, and I think the pandemic really spurred it on. So
Yeah.
without that, who knows? But the pandemic also raised prices and made it harder to get into a hobby that I had really enjoyed since honestly, I quit collecting cards, when you do around like 11 or 12,
Mhm.
when you start getting interested in, you know, literal sports and girls and stuff of that nature. And like I got back into it in high school though, once we started seeing like a couple of my friends and I, once we started seeing they have autographs in there now and they have like jerseys, and this is back in like '05, '06.
Mhm.
It's like this is really cool, like what they're doing with cards, and it's like for adults now, kind of. And so I was definitely into it when I was in high school. It's just having the money to be able to really be a part of it.
Yeah, and I guess that's the thing is like you've seen it like where it was in high school. You probably didn't have the money to get into it then, and then you get into having a career, and then it blows up, and then gets just out of reach again. But I think it's cool. Like you've kind of had the attitude of, and I guess this is what I was getting to, but it's long winded, and I've got COVID brain, so we're tangenting, but it's good
I've
chat.
got
It's
Shea
been,
brain. So
Yeah.
can't even.
I
Yeah,
think what you've done is you've just kind of accepted it as part of it, and still you enjoy it from like, even if you're not able, like both of us, rare. Like I haven't ever bought into a latent break. I've just watched a bunch of them, and I'm
I have.
sure you,
I have
yeah,
before.
but you
Back
probably
when
haven't
they
bought
were,
into,
and that's nothing against Leighton. It was just back when I could afford it. You
yeah.
they
But
just.
we still watch it and enjoy the aesthetic of it and enjoy what they do as
I like the
breakers and
hobby. I really
yeah,
do. I think it's cool. I like, you know, yeah, okay, never mind.
like I'm
I
saying,
think
I'm like watching the
I think
gears
the
moving in your
hobby.
head and like,
I think the hobby, like, I think people can ruin the hobby really quick, and I didn't want to really get into that, and how it can get ruined and stuff. But and that was part of seeing it grow. Whereas, like, almost 10 years ago, it was this really organic thing. It's just like people wanted cards and they wanted to like they couldn't afford a box, so they wanted to kind of buy in and like
mhm.
it was just this really cool thing, and it's been really cool to see grow. And like you can see companies that you like grow, and you can see companies that you don't like grow, and you know it's just interesting, and it's interesting to see what type of card collectors go each way.
Yeah, yeah. And that's the thing. This is like any hobby or section of whether it be the sports fandom or anything like that. There's always the elements in there that you'd prefer not be in there, but overall, I think it's a pretty positive place, and
I agree.
it's a good. There's a lot of good people involved, and it's fun, and it like anything, it can be what you want it to be. If you don't want to be involved in all the some of that stuff, then you just avoid the groups or whatever. Because I'm in a few groups on Facebook and whatever, and keep an eye on Twitter and whatever. But I some of the groups have got a little bit more negativity in them. So I just kind of, if I see a post start in a way that I know that it's going down the like breakers, like the ones that start with breakers are ruining the hobby, and I'm like, okay, I'm not going to read the rest of this and stuff like that. Like, and it's people have opinions, but like there's elements to the hobby that all make it what it is. If there wasn't breakers or there wasn't certain things happening, then it probably wouldn't be the same via like the pricing would be different. You wouldn't be have as good access to cards, or the box price
Exactly.
or the box prices would be that much lower, and then the value wouldn't be there anyway. So it's all kind of like a
Breakers are ruining the hobby.
weirdly organic ecosystem. Because
Breakers created the hobby, in my opinion. Literally breaking online
the
re-stimulated
modern hobby,
it.
yeah,
It didn't exist before breakers, in my opinion. I know that I know. I said I collected. I started collecting when I was in high school, but it's like nobody was doing it. Like nobody was
yeah.
doing
Well, I
it.
guess
Like,
it's
there's
always
so
existed,
many.
but I guess the hashtag the hobby was a breaker era thing, like the hobby as it is now. You know, the people having a hobby of collecting cards has been around for
Oh yeah, yeah.
hundred or so years, but the hobby hashtag the hobby is a breaker era.
The evolved hobby.
Yeah, is a breaker era kind of thing. Yeah, that's the thing.
It's
People go, well, the boxes of flawless are what I don't know how much a case of flawless is.
like by themselves, and it's just for them. They're like breaking it for themselves, and they have like, and then there's nothing like there's nothing at risk. There's nothing like it's like yeah, you spent $20,000 on this. You're probably going to get 20,000 back in value. So it's like there's nothing to this. Whereas a break,
Sometimes you may not.
I don't know. It's just well, yeah, sometimes not. I just remember watching a very famous podcaster's son pull a Zion Duke card and freak out, and it's like, dude, that card means nothing to you. It should mean nothing to you.
Hmm.
Your dad just signed a Spotify deal for 160 million. It's like that's not what we're. This isn't. I don't know.
I guess that's still the joy of it, though. Is like no matter what, you can get some joy out of it.
That's true.
Yeah, like it doesn't matter what position you're in, whether you're like some of us who paycheck to paycheck, kind of more living, or the son of someone who's worth a lot of money. You can still get the same kind of joy out of it.
But how
Um,
much was? Hmm, yeah, that's fair.
yeah.
I'm.
That's the positive part of it is like what I try to do is like be like, yeah, some people can be more lucky than you in getting opportunities to, but then at some point, like you'll get your you get yours, and then and I think not that I believe in karma or anything like that, but as long as you just keep being a good person, like you'll have your own wins here or there. It may not be the Zion logo man or whatever it is, or one of
And,
five, or
and that Zion logo man is going down in value. Anyway,
yeah. My big thing for next year is like when Zion, like my intrigue for like we'll get into my topic in a couple of minutes, but one more thing, like just mentioning Zion going down, my intrigue now is for when Zion comes back, if he actually does get a run,
they
how much
just
it goes
cleared
up
it.
again, because of how much it was inflated at the start, and then it's kind of just, it hasn't exactly like tanked off, because I think so many people are holding, just desperately hoping.
Hold the line.
Yeah. They're holding, and like there's probably going to be a lot of Zion based Prism stuff out there that's like graded PSA 10, and it's like actually doesn't have much value because there's like going to be a pop of like 10,000 or 20,000 or something. But it's
Whereas
those the high end Zions would be the interesting market when, if and when, and I want to see him come back. I think it's good for just as a sports fan. I'd like to see a guy like that with that skill set and body, if he can get his body right, come back and play basketball. So
I also just think like he paralleled it perfectly with the pandemic of like being this once in a lifetime, quote unquote, once in a lifetime player, or like the next LeBron or whatever, and the pandemic hitting, and then everybody was chasing Zion, and that inflated card prices because especially NBA, because I mainly collect NBA. I would argue I only collect NBA at this point. I kind of want to get back into baseball a little bit, but and kind of football too.
I got a couple here for you.
Yeah, perfect. But yeah, Zion kind of created the bubble, the card bubble, I would say.
It was a
And
really perfect storm of like the pandemic and a little bit of time on people's hands.
yep.
And I think like I've listened to a lot of different people talk on the subject, and a lot of people think there was probably a like a an increase or a bubble or whatever you call it coming for the hobby anyway. But
Anyway, yeah, for sure.
the pandemic kind of like supercharged it in a way that like wasn't
That's where it
ever
was a bummer.
yeah.
Because it was like the prices went, like I told you a couple of years ago. I was like, this box I used to get for $200 is $1,200 now, and I can't afford that.
Yeah, because the price of boxes hasn't gone with the wages haven't gone with box prices.
Not even close. I think even the way, yeah, whatever. You had to save up to get a $200 box back then too. So, and you're just not seeing like I mean, in some cases you are, but like with the big hits, but it's like you need a big hit to really like have a nut to really be in the hobby, unless unless you have quite a bit of money, because the pandemic really bolstered it, I should say.
Yeah. I've been lucky in like, because my thing, and I'll get into and a topic this will kind of lead into it. Like my comeback into it was like, because I've got like boxes with old footy and cricket cards, like AFL footy being Australian rules football, and I found them over the years. And it was even at the start of the pandemic, I was going through a few and finding them, but then it was just coming across some AFL footy cards in the local gas station at the pandemic start, and just picking them up and ripping them, and they kind of it's a story as old as time, that one. Like a lot of people I think found their way back into it just stumbling across them, but getting back into the AFL hobby,
the smell, a fresh pack of cards smells so good. I don't want that to sound creepy or anything, but it just really does.
No, I think anyone watching this will be like,
like a brand new book, like smells good.
Yeah. And that kind of, and the AFL hobby's just kind of taken off, like in line with the rest of the world. Like a lot more people have come into it because of the rest of it taking off, and the company here has kind of gone with it and done really good things with getting a few more numbered inserts in there, and the value in boxes being there. So I've kind of been lucky in that most boxes. This latest release, I'm struggling with. I got gypped. I've talked about it in one of my other videos. I think I got gypped.
You can say gypped in 2022, but it's okay. We'll move on. It's live.
Yeah, but overall, I've done reasonably well in being at it. But it's hard though. It's still work unless you get those real. For the AFL hobbyists, like unless you hit that big Dustin Martin card, he's kind of like hitting a big LeBron or a Luka or whatever, or in rookie market terms, it's like hitting the big Zion back in the bubble. Unless you hit the big Dustin Martin or maybe one of the other 2 or 3 big players, you kind of just struggle. You kind of working towards making 20% on your box, and it's a lot of photos of cards and listing cards and getting and it is a lot of your own personal time. But I don't put that. It's fun for me to do that stuff, so I don't mind it. Taking photos of cards, listing them, it's time consuming, but I put a movie on in the background and do it. Some people would say, "Oh, you got to value your time," and I'm like, "No, that's my hobby time. That's like my time away from work. That's fine. Like I'm cool with it." But so I've been lucky in the AFL hobby that it's been reasonably self-sustaining once I've gotten back into it. But it's a lot of work still. Like I've had a couple of lucky hits with cards that have been a quick turnaround for $300 and make the box price back pretty quickly. But like a couple of the releases has been a lot of work and selling and getting it back. And then, but at least it's helping me. I open the boxes, I get what I want out as a collector, and then I put them on the market, get that money back, and then collect the cards I want. It's been good. But so yeah, it's there's a way to be self-sustaining in it, but it can be tough at times. And I know
It's
the
a
problem.
little harder in America.
I was going to say the problem with the US market, how I understand it, is that you can buy a box for $1,000 and only have $200 of value in it. Whereas if Select, the company here, sold a box for $100 and there was only $200 value in it, there'd be a riot almost. Like they're like, and I hope that they continue that way for a long time because
I hope
makes
so too, for your sake. But
there's a little bit of trust in the
American
fans here. The collectors here have a bit of trust in the product that the value will be there. And that's up to the people that are collecting to keep that market too. But
Americans are gullible.
Sorry?
Americans are gullible.
Yeah. That's the unfortunate thing.
We're not the smartest, but we try our best.
Well, that's the unfortunate thing for you. I'm sure if you knew you could go out and buy a box of $1,200, I know having the money, just liquid to be able to do that.
And not even like to get $100 out of a $1,200 box. Like that's not like that doesn't work for me mentally.
Yeah.
Either, and like it doesn't work for me as a collector either. It's like any card I get out of there, if the card's worth $5 and I'm like pouring in, $1,200, it's like that doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. So that kind of prices people out of the market, I guess. And then that's why breakers are great. They deserve to be. They deserve to have a lot of followers and stuff because they're letting people into the hobby.
Yeah.
It doesn't always work out, obviously, and some people think that it always should work out, but like that defeats the purpose, I think. So,
yeah.
Even when you're a little kid, you go buy a pack of cards, like you hope you get a Dan Marino, but.
Mm-hmm. And it's funny. Like you value as a little kid is because you want the Dan Marino. Now as an adult, it's just like, well, I want it, and I also know it's worth some money if I need it. We're all collecting first, but then the reality of it, some people get mad when you talk about the financial side of it. It's like, no, I buy 3 boxes of product to open it. I get it on the market because that helps people collect. But also, we can't just be paying hundreds and $200s and $300 a box and get nothing back for it. That's how the market stays, the economy stays. I put that money back into cards a lot.
That was my whole thing forever. It's like I just want to hit one big card and just like be able to play with that pot of money forever with cards, because then I can chase what I collect and not like chase, Zion or whatever, whoever is hot right now. I don't even really know. Joe Burrow, maybe.
Yeah, Joe Burrow was. Yeah, he was Joe Burrows and your Herberts even as well at the moment.
Throw Herbert.
Herbie. Yeah. This year's NFL product's going to be fucking weird.
Yeah, I mean, I think.
Well, you got.
I think we talked about this during the NFL draft. It was just like, oh man, they have to be hating this because there's like no quarterbacks, some wide receivers, but like hardly any offensive players. A lot of defensive players. Like I do want to get some Kyle Hamilton rookies. For sure.
I want some Kayvon Thibodeau rookie, so I'm hoping the fact that there's no market for defensive players continues.
Your mortal enemy.
Oh, that was a while ago. That's fine.
It was a while ago, a couple times though.
Yeah, it was also 3 rings ago, so it's
okay, God. I hate it. I had sidebar. I had a waiter He was friends with my friends who are waitresses. Like just like we talked for like hours about sports, and
Mhm.
like he was introduced me to me while he was working, while they were working and everything. And he was saying, he's like, "Yeah, I just don't know about the Patriots this year. I think it's gonna go Bills, Jets, Patriots." And I was like, "Good man. I like this guy. I like this guy. He's 20 years old, but so he doesn't know shit about fuck. But like, he respected my knowledge, and no one else does. So
No, no, we don't. No. No, I respect your knowledge, otherwise I wouldn't have you on here.
the the word on the street is that Zach Wilson has put on some weight, put on some muscle. So,
Whispers
invest
on the what was it? Sister Whispers on the Avenue or whatever.
whispers on the avenue. Zach Wilson's putting on some weight, and he's about to sling it.
People are still pretty. Feel like there's still some people that are pretty bullish about Zach Wilson. So you never know. Like that, it's a young team. They got some good draft picks.
I did
They
hear
can.
somebody. Well, that was his point. He was like, "Hey, you guys drafted really well." I'm like,
Mhm.
that doesn't mean we're gonna finish above the Patriots next year, who made the playoffs
Yeah.
last year with a dipshit Mac Jones. Like, like Mac Jones isn't better than Zach Wilson. He just plays for Bill Belichick.
Yeah,
So
that's fine. Which
let's,
makes him better
just,
than Zach Wilson.
let's just make that clear.
The Belichick factor. All right, I want to talk about. It's taken 37 minutes to get here, but one of ones and
Yeah.
even one of tens.
Ooh, like
You're a
it.
fan, right?
Oh,
You're a
love
fan.
it. Love it.
Yeah.
Oh, can't get enough.
So the thing with this is the thing that kind of ties into what we are talking about the AFL hobby a few minutes ago with the sustainability of it. And this is actually, I'm not sure where this will end up in my own mind because I'm conflicted about this, but basically AFL cards never go below numbered below 25. I think is the least numbered I've
25 is good.
seen. They don't, and there's talk. There's a podcast I listen to down here called Card Authority, and I really enjoy what they do because they talk about the AFL hobby pretty well.
I wish I could
And they've
help.
just been a good resource for me getting used to it as well. They they're pretty against the idea of ever getting lower numbered because a big thing in AFL is team set collectors. There's a lot of collectors that are like, I need to have every card ever made about like for their team. So if you go to one of ones and there's only ever going to be one team set collector that gets their whole hand on that, or one of tens, it takes some out of it. But my thing is now I'm gonna bring up some slides while I say this. So last year there was these in that Supremacy release. I think I remember talking to you about it. It was like our version of Flawless, probably the closest thing
Right.
to it. But it was only $600 a box or $650, so it was really nice in that sense. But again, the value is comparable. But I made the money back on the box. They had these booklet patches numbered one or numbered to 25. So I'll bring this one up here. So you seeing this? Just making sure
Yes.
it's working.
Yep.
So this is the one. So this is 01 of 25. This is the example they had in their thing. Essentially, this to me is a Logo Man card, right? So isn't
In a
that
way.
like? Oh,
In a way.
yeah, it's not. There's not a Logo Man, but that is the AFL logo from their jersey. To
Oh,
me,
is
that's a
it?
one.
Okay.
Yeah,
So they do 25 of those?
yeah. But they
Okay.
only do, but only one of them. The rest of them. So I'll bring up this other slide now. This is
Oh,
this is just so this like that's the 9 of 25 there. It's just like at the top there. It's like got a corner of of the sponsor logo. Same with that other one there, like the second one in the middle.
okay. Okay. I see what you're
Yeah,
talking
so
about.
so
So it's
what
like
my
one jumper, and
yeah,
they just carve it up for 25
yeah.
spots. Yeah, that's fine.
But to me,
It's still
like
one of one.
this
In a way,
card
it's a
is
one of one.
isn't this card like a one of one in without actually being called it? Like
I've seen this argued in the chats before, and I don't disagree. I do think that every card kind of is a one of one.
yes, that's
When
kind
you're
of
like
yeah.
dealing when you're dealing with an actual player jersey, it's like, oh well, there's three colors of this one, and the other card has two colors. Like it's not the same card, even though it's
Mhm.
one of 25 or two of 25. Yeah, I just I don't think the hobby's caught up to that mindset yet. if that
Yeah, well,
makes
that's the thing. But at least in the hobby in the US, you have one of ones anyway, and people are past it. In the in like the Australian, the footy hobby, it's just like people are like anti one of ones or one of tens and stuff like that. I look at this card and go, that's a one of one to me. Like, and I get it. Like, I'm actually fine with where
But
it's
in a
at,
way,
and I
it is.
don't mind it. I'm just like, it's just a chat that I wanted to bring up because it's like something that last year when I was listening to this stuff and I saw this card, I was like, if I'm a team set collector, unless I have and like if I have the money to do the team set collecting thing and have every card, which I don't, so I don't even bother getting into that landscape. But I would want it unless I had this card, like the AFL logo card, I would just not feel like my team set is complete. Does that make sense? So that's where my head's at with it too. Like
Well,
if I had the 9 of 25 that had like a corner of the sponsor logo in there, I'd be like, well, I technically have the same card that that guy has, but I know that that AFL logo one's worth more as well. So that there's like that there. So to me, like the anti one of one stuff in the AFL hobby is kind of it doesn't make much sense to me in that sense. I'm like I said, I'm actually fine. I understand the arguments too. Like it gives people the peace of mind that they're like there is that kind of mental gymnastics thing that they're like because it's not a one of one. Even if I have the 9 of 25, then I'm okay because I know that that's the checklist says that. But to me, that card is still a one of one, just not a name. So for my mind, I'm still thinking unless I had that card, I am missing out somewhat.
all right, a lot to unpack here. Um, First, I just don't think a lot of Americans collect that way, just because of the way the market is and stuff like that. I don't think a lot of people are looking for complete sets. So over here, it's easier, I guess.
Yeah.
And but also,
Is it also just to interject?
oh,
Is
go
it
ahead.
also the American market is just used to not having everything? And is it somewhat of a not to this isn't slamming the AFL hobby. I actually think it's really cool that there's so many people that have
I
that
think it's
dedication to
cool
team
too.
set collecting. But is it because people are so used to having that that they're not prepared to open up the market to that more craziness of what the NBA market is, which is just that sometimes you'll never own a card and that's okay.
I mean, there's definitely a big part of that in American card culture is that I have to have that card, and that's what drives up prices. And I think uh, you guys haven't reached that level yet. And
No,
that
that's what this is. There is those people that want every card, so that's why they don't want one of
they want
ones.
all 25, or
Sorry?
do they want all 25?
No, they just want one card in that checklist. So
Oh well,
if there's a
then that's not that different than American card culture of like I have to have that card because it's
yeah,
rare.
but
Um,
that's why we don't have one of ones here. Is I think is because they're
I think you're going to trend towards it. I
I
don't.
think that too, but I worry about the backlash when it happens, and I think it would be unfair on the company if they did go down that road because I think one of ones exist without actually explicitly printing it on there. Because to me that number one card, and because it is a big thing, people chase jumper numbers, so jersey numbers, like so if it
Of
like
course,
yeah, so there is kind of that in there without actually. There's probably people out there that are just big jumper number collectors that are missing some, and they're mad about it. And then there's going to be people that want the number one card with the AFL logo. So to me, we have one of ones. We just don't admit it, or we kind of mentally work our way around it because we're like we're still getting it even if we're a team set. And that's what I think is it's just the team set collectors that maybe aren't as worried about jumper numbers or ones, but they just want to have every card. And it's like, and I respect it again. Like for anyone listening, I'm not like slamming it. I actually think I am between a rock and a hard place on it because I actually love one of ones. I'm just
I
going
think
to put
they're
up.
awesome.
I'm just going to put up an example. Like I think that even just aesthetically, the one of one writing, whether it be
Oh, of course, yeah.
the digit one of one or on the this Dave Winfield I've got is like it's written out one of one on the top right corner there. You can't really see it very well, but um, to me, like as a collector, I really like one of ones. So and I've only got like, and I've only lucked into having two of them out of breaks, and they're not like it's a Dave Winfield. There's nameplate one, and I got a Leo DeRocher like printing plate with a bit of his jersey in there, which is really cool. But being like a player from that long ago. But beyond that, I don't, and they're not like high value one of ones like this Luca would be. But
I don't
I
know.
love
One of
them, man.
one to
I'd love
have
to
is
see them.
cool.
I'd love to see them in the AFL hobby. Like, I just think it would be a
I
cool thing
agree.
to, yeah. But being that I said that the AFL hobby is pretty sustainable in their box pricing and you value back from them, it would be interesting to see how one of ones would change the market in that sense. And so it
Because
is something
every
that I
player
also
gets a one of one. So it's like, I can't speak to AFL, like who the worst player in the AFL is or whatever, but like he's going to get a one of one too. And how much is
yeah.
that? Like, how much will, like, if you're looking for a full set, whereas in America, like I have a Lou Williams one of one, which nobody wants per
Six
se.
man of the year once, wasn't he?
Oh yeah, more than once, hopefully.
Yeah.
Oh, that's in my eBay sales. But no, I'm kidding. It's just like in America, we like print a bunch of the same card and then like make it different colors, and then
Yeah,
like,
well, we've done that. They've done that in this latest release. There's like 4 different colored parallels.
well, you could go all the way down to one of one, and then people could still get their set
Yeah,
without having to have
like your black prism. Is that what the one of one prism is? It's like a black or something like
it
that.
was black. The one I have is black. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's cool.
yeah.
Um, I wish it was a better player.
That's what you get though, isn't it? It's like you get a one of one, and that's
I
why.
like that
So
product too, that I got it out of. So it was very cool.
yeah, to me, it's just like I've got a Winfield bat plate one of one. It would be a lot better to have an Aaron Judge one right now, just for the recency bias of what is worth money. But I'm probably never going to get rid of that Winfield one anyway. So what's actually I as a collector, it's having a one of one regardless of the player is kind of like you if you're
It depends what
lucky
you're
enough to
looking
get a
for, really.
what's that?
It depends what you're looking for, right?
Yeah. And that's the thing is like I think that's the modern hobby thing is like we're all in it if we're in it to the level that you and I are in the sense of um, whatever level we're into it, we do both want cards that we want in breaks, but then we also would love to hit a card that would change your life too. So it's like everyone's got that dual mindset of like, yeah. So it's kind of a weird mental thing that everyone does, I think, in the hobby too, because we both want cards that we want to own, but then we also want to hit cards that could potentially be that one of one Luca logo man that sells for. Was it Luca that sold for 4 million back in the height of the bubble?
Yeah, that's the one Leighton pulled, was the logo man rookie Luca.
Yeah.
I know other sites have pulled fire as well, and like
Mhm.
Patrick Mahomes shit that like, it's just crazy. Like, imagine, like, I never want to hit or I'm not gonna say I want to hit. I don't want to hit a card for 4 million. It's just like I've literally texted you before. I was like, I don't even know what I would do if I hit a card that I knew was worth millions of dollars. I'd just be like, SWAT
Just
team, come in, take it from me, and just please give me some of that money. Like, it would literally freak me out, like, to touch it.
yeah.
And if you look at the Luca logo, man, when Brad pulled it on Leighton, he is like, he's shaking. It's like, yeah,
Yeah.
that's $4 million, like, for a piece of cardboard.
Yeah.
It's fun.
Yeah.
That's what, like, it's. I mean, but what is anything?
Mhm. And that's what would be cool, like if the AFL, like the hobby landscape here is just so different as well. Because
It
even
is.
just
It is.
population base, you've got 330 million people in the US that, uh, there's a massive percentage of that into NBA, NFL, whatever it be.
Half of
Whereas,
them morons.
whereas Australia's got 24 million people, half of them might be morons as well. And the AFL hobby is
Maybe a
only a
little bit
certain
more
selection
down
of that. So that's just that much less. So it depends when, and that is the argument too. Is like when would the hobby be ready for an interjecting of lower numbered cards here? And that's why I wanted to bring it up
I
because
think
I'm not
right now.
saying I
I think
like one of ones. I would like to see them, but I also understand the arguments against it because it's not only team set collectors. I still think there is like a mental gymnastics that happens that says that they are getting the same card when they're not. When there is
I
a
think they need to
jersey.
do the American thing, though. There's a one of one version of that card, but then there's also like the base card of it,
Yeah,
if that makes sense.
Yeah, and the base card is actually the same card. It's just because we put
It's
a
just a
value on it.
different
So
color.
yeah, it's all actually just stupid. But then so is the stock market, and so is the value of, and so is money
What is
itself.
the value of anything, dude? We live in hell.
And that's might be why I enjoy the hobby so much, is I can take all of my angst of fucking the stupidity of the value of gas or whatever else and just say, I'm just gonna play with men on and pictures of men and women on cardboard and spend money on it.
The value of anything is what somebody will pay for it. So
Yeah. Yeah. And that's
that's the
why
bottom
yeah.
line. And I think you guys will figure that out over. Or it's not even figure it out.
Yeah.
I think you guys will reach that point. I should say.
Yeah, I think it'll happen organically. I just thought it would be interesting to hear your point of view on it since you've grown up with one of ones. Like whereas that's something that like I didn't
I mean, when I
being
was a
AFL.
kid, one of ones didn't exist. I remember the first time I got like a redemption card. Like I didn't know what it meant, and I didn't send it in. It was just this white. It was this white thing with uh like a sticker on it that said like, "Hey, this card, like send it to." And I
Was
was
that
like,
like was that Panini Redemption then or
it wasn't Panini. I don't think Panini existed back then. I
oh
it
so yeah,
Panini
before
Pops.
that, sorry, yeah.
But I was like, oh, this is just an insert in my cards. Like I didn't
Mhm.
even look. Yeah, I was not a smart child, but but I remember that. I remember when it started coming in, and I think that's when the hobby really picked up here. So I think there's a lot of money to be made
Mhm.
in that sense, and I also think like yeah, you're opening up a can of worms.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to
But I
see
think
when it
you
gets
guys are
there.
ready for it. I think Australia is ready for it.
Yeah, I'd be keen for it, like, cause and maybe it's just me coming from a point of view of just I try to collect as many Port Adelaide cards as I can, like, just that them being my team, but I can't
With the
like, there's a bunch of
Wanderers.
cards that pop up on eBay regularly that I can't afford, and I'll worry about the day that they're just out of the market because there's only 60 of them. Oh, is that the Nasir Little one?
Yeah,
No.
it's
Yeah.
been on. I think I fucked up this card though. It's been on my TV box for like forever. So it is what it is. I think
Um,
it's seen better days.
yeah. We'll see,
But I
Joe.
want to have that card forever anyway.
I need
So it's
I
like
need
I
to
don't care what shape it's in. I just have this Nas little. It's hot to the touch, which is scary.
Yeah. No, it'll be interesting to see how it goes. The hobby to me is something that, like I said, I Port Adelaide cards. There's so many that I worry that ones that are numbered to 40 or 50 that may just disappear from the market one day because they've all been gobbled up and I never get. But that that's something that
Oh, so you're part of the problem, kind of.
yeah, but I'm kind of accepting of it too. Like I just go if I don't like that's my thing I was talking about earlier, the FOMO thing, like to keep that out of my thing, like out of my collecting philosophy because yeah, I can't afford them right now, so I don't go out of my way to get them. And if they disappear forever, and I just have to keep the eBay search parameters on to send me an alert when the elusive one may pop up one day, then that's just what it is, and I'm not going to get bent out of shape about it. So that's why, and that so there's that biased part of me that is like, well, if I'm not a team set collector that has meticulously built a collection that contains every single card to ever have been released by a team. Like that is a fantastic thing to have achieved.
Gotta
And it's
have a
going to
lot
be
of money to do it.
so to have that kind of ability to do that and then start seeing one of ones come in, I can understand the angst about it. So but that's just my point of view. Is that like because I don't think I'll ever be at that point. I'm like fuck it, throw one of ones in. So there is a bias to my point of view, and that's most people have a biased point of view depending on how they collect and
I
or
think every single person has a biased point of view about something. So.
yeah, and it all comes from depending on how they deal with things. So I like that's what I try to do when I'm talking about these things is accept that I'm coming at it from a point of view and try to have empathy for the other side of it, and that's what we should do with everything. But particularly with this hobby stuff is like that's
That's
why I'm trying to say my point of view on it without actually just saying, "Oh, those guys are idiots," because they're not. They've got their own way that they've collected for a long time, and change like that stuff can be difficult. So it's yeah, I'm going to be empathetic to that. That's fine. I just want one of ones because I think they're cool.
everybody should be more empathetic, and
Mm-hmm.
everybody should have more one of ones.
Campaign slogan right there. Let's go.
Dude, I would be a terrible politician. And that's why I'm going to be the 51st president of the United States.
Look, there's a COVID cough as I try to laugh. Pity laugh. No.
I don't even
all right.
remember having COVID. It fucked me up so bad that I don't even remember it.
It's rough. Like this is the first day I've had beers in like 2
I
weeks,
know,
I think.
I talked you into it and I feel bad now.
Oh no. I bought the 6-pack of Guinness yesterday. It's fine. That was my own decision. I'm an adult man.
I just think of
At 34 years old, I can make my own decisions, even if I do get a slight bit of peer pressure from yourself.
I just envision Andrea just so mad at me in the room, just like.
No, she cooked me waffles this morning. She's okay.
That's awesome.
All right. She has just messaged me that she's done with soccer, so I should probably wrap this up and go pick her up. But which is good because I think we've come to a point that a good first edition of Hobby Chat on the Vern Cards channel.
I love being on. Thank you for having me.
And this is the first time I've ever used a streaming software to try and be able to have the ability to put things into the screen and stuff like that. So hopefully it's once I finish this up and actually finish it up, it'll come out all right. But yeah, a good first go at it, and I look forward to doing it.
I had a great time on your channel. Thanks for having me. I'll anytime you ask me, I'll come back.
Yeah, we'll do this again. I think more than anything these days, beyond sports talk, we talk a lot of cards. So it's just kind of felt like a good way to both catch up because we're on opposite sides of the planet. So it's good to actually have verbal communication on top of all the text messages. So as well as just have some card chat, and especially with you coming from, we're both in the same collect. Like we both love our NBA and stuff like that. But then having AFL hobby things to discuss, and I can bring your kind of point of view from coming from a different hobby world. In that sense, it's cool to have that perspective. So
I also want to say just really quickly that when I was in high school, I completely collected baseball, and now I've 15 years later, I've completely moved to basketball, and so don't ever feel pigeonholed in the hobby. You can always find just follow what you like. And that's what I've done.
I got some cards back from a break recently, and I completely forgot. I just bought a random team in an O-Pee-Chee hockey break. Yeah. And I got hold on.
I can't support the hockey stuff, folks. I just can't.
This is pretty cool. I don't like the Red Wings.
Yeah, they're fine. They're very cool, but I just can't get into
it. A Valtteri Filppula, numbered red prism,
Right.
I completely forgot I bought into this random. It was fucking $8 for a random team break. So to get a numbered card out of it, and that's I was just I don't know.
That's the fun thing about Australia. If you're listening to this in Australia, find the deals. Like America, you can't buy into a break for $8.
Yeah, but it was just cool to okay. Andrea's messaging me now saying, "Are you picking me up?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'll get there." All right.
I apologize.
This has been good. This has
been. You can blame me. It's like the movie You, Me, and Dupree, or when. All right, I'll text you about the other reference. I don't want to sound lame, but I will.
All right, this has been fun. This has been the first episode or video of Hobby Chat, whatever it is on the channel. Cheers, Shea. I appreciate you always.
Cheers.